get the cream. Precious metals or the crypto things. Your bars are light like the one that's on a Smith machine. But my match swell and I ain't speaking about the pretty wings. Watch.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let us discuss NWA Powerrr from November the 23rd, 2021. This was a very... This episode really frustrated me. And it's going to be evident if you watched it what I absolutely wanted to throw myself down a flight of stairs over. We'll get there momentarily. I'll put it off as long as possible. We got to talk about it. I'm ready to cuss 30 seconds into the video. Anyway, we start the show with Pope, because Pope was supposed to wrestle Chris Adonis, but Pope came out there and Pope said he got a phone call on Powerrr, and the phone call said, "Brother, I've known you for a long time. I need to handle some business. In fact, Pope, hot daddy, I gotta handle me some strictly business." And everybody's like, huh? And of course, Nick Aldis bolts to the ring, jumps in the ring, and starts fighting Chris Adonis. Now, William Patrick Corgan, because he's a grown man now. You can't call him Billy Corgan anymore. Is on commentary and doing a really good job too. He's talking about how he didn't sanction this, but he's gonna let it ride because he wants to see people solve all of their problems in the ring. A non-title match, Nick Aldis versus Chris Adonis, and they have a pretty damn good match. Aldis basically wins the match by submission, which is very good. Tom Latimer was out there causing a distraction, getting all in the way. Corgan yelled at him, told him to get away from the ring. He was being held back by Camille later on. If you ever get held back by a woman, you don't really want to fight, right? Corgan kept telling them, wait till the pay-per-view, wait till the pay-per-view. And he's, of course, yelling this on commentary, so I'm not sure how much of this Latimer can really hear. And since Latimer is a maniac anyway, I'm not sure he's even paying attention. They did a nice spot where Aldis, when he put him in the cloverleaf, he was staring directly into the face of Tom Latimer. So it was a nice little thing to build up this feud. Then when Nick Aldis left, Billy Corgan got on the microphone, the actual house mic, and said that he's been dealing with Latimer and all this shit for 7 years, and that enough's enough. And he told him to get in the ring. And Latimer, of course, didn't want to get in the ring. And then Corgan got very stern. I actually like this. He was like, "I'm going to tell you like I tell my son. You got to a count of 5. And he started to count like 1, 2. Latimer finally got in the ring. And then he went back to commentary and said that he just told the guys, whoever the guys are, to just send somebody out. He didn't care who. He just wants Latimer, since Latimer wants to hang around the ring, he wants Latimer to wrestle. He doesn't care who. They send out some guy named Jaden Roller. I don't know who this is. I think I saw him 2 weeks ago, last week or something like that. And who got pummeled by Tom Latimer. But they did tell a decent story here where Latimer was just playing around with him, which gave Corgan a chance to talk about the scouting methods of NWA, where he's like, you know, Latimer's playing with this kid, but the NWA scouts very well. Everyone that we sign here is a highly skilled athlete. Highly skilled. And that when Jaden Roller started to fight back, he was like, "See, that's what you get for not finishing him off." Of course, Latimer ends up winning with the power driver, but it was good that they gave Roller a comeback spot just to see what his comeback looks like, and it was all right. We did a segment with Tyrus and Cyan as they were face to face, and Cyan apologized on behalf of everyone in attendance for his attitude towards Tyrus. Then he says that he's not just sorry, he's 100% sorry. And then Tyrus was like, "I don't believe you." And then he increased it by saying, "I'm 112% sorry." And Tyrus was like, "No, no, I don't believe you. You gotta do better than that. He's like, I'm 120% sorry. And then Tyrus was like, okay, all right. He's like, I'm 130% sorry. And then Tyrus was like, damn, oh yes, of course, you're my guy now. So, this whole thing was Tyrus trying to make everybody believe that Scion rather, is his friend and is really scared of him. But it's really, of course, Jordan Clearwater. I think I pitched the idea before for Jordan Clearwater to be Scion. They didn't even say that Jordan Clearwater was Scion in this segment. That's what I like about jokes sometimes. Sometimes like WWE or something like that would have blown it and had, you know, Jordan Clearwater take his mask off and be like, ha 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 ha, look at me guys, I was pretending to be Scion guys. Instead, they did the whole segment. You know that it was Jordan Clearwater because they started doing Jordan Clearwater's gimmick of having over 100%. You know, like for the last several weeks, he's been talking about how he's going to give 100%. He's going to give 110%. I always give it 150%, you know. So he was doing his same gimmick here, just in the mask. So, of course, everybody who was smart knew it was Jordan Clearwater. It wasn't Scion. So they didn't need to take the mask off. But they're also building that it could possibly be Scion under the mask. I mean, Scion. Of course, it'd be Scion under the mask. It could possibly be Jordan Clearwater under the mask. That my idea before, that Jordan Clearwater might wrestle as Scion at the pay-per-view and win the title, could happen. You know, that could happen. I'm interested in that. But I thought this was a fun little segment. I'm not really a big fan of Tyrus when it comes to wrestling. You know, he's awful. He's awful. But this segment worked. You know, I like this segment. Then we have to talk about this thing that gave me an aneurysm. Taryn Terrell versus Kenzie Page in a social distanced match. And because I know GCW had a social distance match, and the NWA kept saying before, this is the first ever social distance match, I kept saying, no, I know GCW had one before. I knew what it was, but I thought it was going to be a joke. You know, I didn't think it was going to be literal. So Taryn Terrell is wrestling. So that you already know it's some BS in the game right there, because Taryn Terrell really doesn't wrestle. So she gets on the microphone. I think this part was fun. She started saying that they're in St. Louis, by the way. So she starts talking about how they're in St. Louis, Illinois. Not St. Louis, Missouri, but St. Louis, Illinois. And since they have a mask mandate, she wants to have a match that's COVID friendly. And she wants to be respectful of their mask mandates. So she wants to have a social distance match. And then she brings out her gear, which includes masks for both her and Kenzie Page. And a goddamn tailor's tape to keep them 6 feet apart. So she had to get close to Kenzie Page to inch out 6 feet. And then wanted to wrestle from this 6 feet position. And this is when they started doing the invisible shit, where Kenzie Page would like push and then Taryn Terrell would take a bump. And then, you know, she would grab hair and Taryn Terrell would grab her hair. It was like she was playing with a remote control car. This was fucking stupid. This is a mockery. I can't believe Billy Corgan allowed this to happen. This is the NWA. They would never have done this shit before. If this was to be the spirit of the NWA, this was an abomination. Of course, it's some horse shit that somebody like Taryn Terrell would try to do. It's perfectly within her character to do something like this. To try to keep people away from her, to have a match where she can't be hit, and can't be knocked down, and can't be bullied or anything like that. It's perfect for her character. But for her to play along, and for Kenzie Page to play, they did a fake collar and elbow tie-up. Oh my God. Taryn Terrell took her mask off to yell collar and elbow. She was calling spots from across the ring. Collar and elbow. So then Kenzie Page does a collar and elbow, and she does it too. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. At one point, Taryn Terrell was down, and Kenzie Page did an elbow drop And lo and behold, even though she was 6 feet away, Taryn Terrell sold an elbow drop. I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I was like, oh. And Corgan, man, you gotta be smarter than this, dog. You gotta be smarter than this. I don't know. Taryn Terrell is the match ended up changing because Taryn Terrell sprayed Kenzie Page in the face with hand sanitizer. And then when Kenzie Page took her mask off, Taryn Terrell ran and said that this match is over, and then did her bye gimmick and just allowed herself to get counted out. So Kenzie Page won by count out because Taryn Terrell bailed on it. Taryn Terrell is a good personality. She's in great shape too. I don't know. She got to be like in her early 40s or something. Maybe even mid 40s. But she looks fantastic. But she is not much of a wrestler. And she doesn't even try to wrestle anymore. She does mostly personality stuff. But she's useful. You know, she's very useful. But I think this is awful. Never do this again. I never want to see any shit like this again. It's terrible. And it's completely unlike the NWA to participate in this shit. And then we have to go back to real wrestling after this. Because the next match was JTG and Colby Corino versus the Rude Dudes. JTG and Colby Corino win with the Brooklyn's edge by JTG. Alright. So then we get Jax Dane. So Jax Dane is, he's calling Crimson by his real name now. Just doing it, just to do it. And talking about Crimson as a thorn in his side. That he's frustrated because the NWA and Conspiracy Corgan, but Corgan Conspiracy is real because the NWA is trying to steal his #1 contendership. They don't have the guts to just strip him of it. Now they're just trying to steal it. So I had no idea what he was talking about. Corgan is on commentary saying that he wants to settle things in the ring. And Jax Dane has been avoiding matches. So he's not going to let Jax Dane avoid this match. So I'm like, can somebody tell me what's going on here? So then we finally get to it. That this is a tag team match. It's going to be Jax Dane and job guy Jeremiah Plunkett versus Crimson and Trevor Murdoch. So the guy he's feuding with and the world champion and his partner is a job guy. You know what? Maybe it is a goddamn conspiracy. They gave me a jobber as a tag team partner. So the rule goes that if he loses this match, Jax Dane, he would lose his #1 contendership. Of course he lost because of Jeremiah Plunkett, who got beat by the Top Rope Bulldog. Then it was clarified that Jax Dane had to be the one who gets beat in order for him to lose his title shot. And since that was the rules, and I guess I wasn't paying attention, I figured that was the case when Jax Dane walked out. Like he just basically walked out of the match and didn't give a shit because he had to be the one to get beat in order to get it. So they had some good stakes for the main event, but you know, it was obvious as sunshine at 2 o'clock in the afternoon that Jeremiah Plunkett wasn't going to be able to hang. But they put him in the match so they'll have somebody to pin. Okay. So that's something. Now they did do a decent job on Power Surge the previous week, last week. I don't review Power Surges because it's usually shows and matches that have no context within storylines. Usually they don't. Sometimes they do. Like I think the End became the #1 contenders for the tag team titles last week by beating Hawks Aerie. I think that was last week. But they usually don't have, they have storylines, but they're kind of not really. Like Power Surge just doesn't seem like a show I should be reviewing. Sorry. If you think so, if you think I should review Power Surge, let me know in the comment section. But I saw via the YouTube channel that Mike Knox is actually going to be the guy wrestling for the NWA World Title at the pay-per-view. And I was like, Mike Knox? I completely forgot that he was the guy who jumped Trevor Murdoch in the cage. Because I was like, I thought it was Jax Dane, personally. Like, they're two bald, beardy guys, you know? But apparently Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch have history from their past that make Mike... I'm like, okay. Look, Corrigan, I know we got a problem here when it comes to Trevor Murdoch. You got to the point where you got to the happily ever after, which is what I say about wrestling writing all the time. Trevor Murdoch has reached his happily ever after. Now we've got to get to the point of what is next. And what is next was Mike Knox, a guy who wasn't even on the roster 3 months ago. Now he's the #1 contender just by existing. Okay. I think we're probably better off formulating a plan to get this belt off of Murdoch. He doesn't need to be champion long term. He's been champion long enough, I think. You know, he's been champion long enough for everybody to recognize that he's got it. So it's time to move the belt. Screw job if we can. Screw job if we please. Maybe, just maybe, that's going to be the true main event for Hard Times, is that Jax Dane is going to cash in his #1 contendership thing right after Trevor Murdoch gets a beatdown from Mike Knox. Then that will be good. Not because I want Jax Dane to be the world champion. I mean, Jax Dane is okay, but he's nothing special to me. It's more about continuing the story arc of Trevor Murdoch, because he's stalled. Once you give a guy his happily ever after, he automatically stalls. And Nick Aldis and Latimer, they're going to have a thing continuing after this. You know, some of the stories are going to continue. So I'm very interested in how we're going to, you know, continue this story, continue the show, even though Trevor Murdoch has seemingly stalled in terms of the main event. And then they blew off all the heat between him and Aldis. So all of the heat they had been building up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. They had him not only beat Aldis, but then they became tag partners and friends. So all of that heat is gone. So that means all that heat you build up is just steam. That sucks. This is what's wrong with the happily ever after. You got to figure out what comes next. But what comes next for me is letting y'all go. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like this video. Share this video. Subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys for your time. And I will talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They distort, so question as if